Hi, welcome to the Sunday School Breakdown. I'm your host, Wilman Murphy, and I'm a Sunday School teacher here at the St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. And we will be found at 2870 Helen Drive, East Point, Georgia, 30344. Our senior pastor is the Reverend Dr. Clayton Eugene Taylor, Sr. And our co-pastor, that's the Reverend Christopher E. Taylor, Sr. Now I bring you greetings and good tidings from the St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church family. Thank you, and welcome again to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Sunday School Breakdown, the SSBD. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in yet again. If you're a repeat viewer, I thank you dearly and severely. So put your pens and paper, the Sunday School lesson plans, and your course. Of course, your Bibles will always work. We're going to be in the book of Proverbs once again this week, chapter 2. You know, on last week we celebrated our pastor, his 54th church anniversary. You know, I almost said wedding anniversary, but I guess spiritually he's been married to this church for 54 long years. And so let's give him a celebration. This is a week old. It was actually June 7th last week, but still, let's celebrate our pastor. 54 years at the St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. The 5 and the 4. 54 years. That's a long, oh Lord, that's a long time. But we congratulate you, Pastor Taylor, Reverend Taylor, Dr. Taylor. We applaud you for your efforts and your consistency and your perseverance at the St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. And his lovely wife, the Reverend, I almost said Reverend, I did say Reverend, didn't I? But the Mrs. Christine E. Taylor. We congratulate you both on the 5 and the 4. Well done. Let's get started up into our lesson. Once again, we're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 2, verses 1 through 11. This lesson text is called Value Wisdom. So once again, we're talking about wisdom. What is wisdom? Oh, wait a minute. I need you to tweet somebody and repeat. Call somebody, email somebody, text somebody, and let them know that the Sunday School Breakdown is about to go down. Here we are. Book of Proverbs. What is a proverb, by the way? Same slide from last week if you watched last week. A short, point to the point saying about a general use, stating the truth about or a simple piece of advice. Right? Just a piece of advice. A lot of times it's not theological. It's just generic and some good old-fashioned common sense. Right? So that's a proverb. We know Solomon wrote a lot of the proverbs. He wrote over 3,000 proverbs, and he actually wrote songs. Wisdom, the thing that most of us should be chasing. The soundness of an action or decision in regard to the application. See, the one thing to have the knowledge, it's a whole different ball game to be able to possess wisdom, because you got to know how to apply the knowledge. Having knowledge and not being able to apply it at the right time is a problem. So, wisdom. I put in common sense, and the dictionary had experience, knowledge, and good judgment. And I wrote in the bottom, it's the application of the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. It's the application of what you know at the right an appropriate time. Still in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs primarily was written by King Solomon. We know there was some minor artists as well, maybe 2 or 3 others, but primarily the book of Proverbs was written by King Solomon. Now, King Solomon's mother was, the father was King David, and the mother was Bathsheba. I got to tell you the story about Bathsheba. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Okay. I saw you, some of you tensing up. We heard it already. So for the ones that haven't heard it, go back to season 2, lesson 1, dated June 7th. And you'll get my story about Bathsheba. So Solomon, he took the reign when he was 20 years old. He served as a king for 39 years. He passed away at age 59. He wrote 3,000 proverbs and 1,005 songs. And Solomon asked God for wisdom. And because he asked he answered the right question, God gave him riches as well as wisdom. Let's get started with verse 1. Proverbs chapter 2, verse 1. And it does read, My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee. And it talks about a father giving advice to a son. That's the picture that we're supposed to get, that a father is giving wisdom, giving knowledge to a son. And he's telling me, if you will receive my words, so this is what God is telling us with his children, with his son and his daughters. And he's telling them, if we just receive his words, right? First, you got to be able to find some space in your mind to be able to receive your words. You see my floating man on the wall, and he has the wheels in his brain. And you have to make those wheels turn. So you got to receive it. You got to be able to take it in and keep it. You got to store this thing into your database. Yeah. Put it into your database, your internal database. You see that B clause of this say, and hide my commandments. So you got to put them in the bowels of your database. You got to keep them so you can use them at the appropriate time. Remember, we got to use the what, when, the why, the how, the where. So the timing has to be right to pull out certain sections of wisdom. You don't want to pull out the wrong piece of wisdom for the wrong time or place or wrong situation. So God said, put it here. Don't store it away. You know, everything now is stored in the cloud. Well, we know wisdom came from God. So since it came from God, we can say that wisdom came from the cloud. But you don't want to store it back up there because you may need it to get to it quickly. You may be in a situation where you need to grab a piece of your wisdom real quickly, and you're waiting on it to download from the cloud. And based on your internal services that you have, it may take a while for it to download from the cloud. You see the little gauge saying 15%. Then you trying to formulate that thought, handle that business, and it say now, okay, it's at 45%. Oh wait, I'm getting there. No, that is not what you want to do. You want to have it stored in your inside. Look at that B clause of verse 1. And hide my commandments. Where? With thee. Put it in the bowels of your system. Put it in your soul. Put it in your spirit. So when you need it at the right time, it'll come quickly. All right? And you'll be able to handle that situation quickly. And when that happens, people will give you a compliment without really giving you a compliment. They'll say, he's quick. That means you were able to formulate the right and appropriate answer at the right time, in the right place. And so, put the wisdom in it. Receive it in our heads. I'm going to figure out next time how to make these wheels turn. But I got to work on that. Okay. So, put it inside of you and protect it. Marshawn Lynch out of the Seattle Seahawks said, you got to protect your mentals. You got to protect your mind. Put it there. Store it there. So when you need it, it'll be available to you. Verse 2. So that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom. See, once you put it there, you got to, well, in order to get it there, you got to hear it. Verse 2 say, incline your ear to it. Pay attention. Sometimes you just got to be quiet and listen. Listen to the word of the Father, your biological father, your biological mother, your spiritual father, mother, your heavenly Father, and your heavenly mother. He is whatever you need for him to be. So sometimes just incline that ear. Take time. When wisdom is speaking, listen. Right? We want to talk all the time, and sometimes we overtalk something very important. Right? And other parts say, verse 2 say, and apply thine heart to understand it. So once you get this wisdom, apply your heart to it. Fix it in your heart. Make ready your heart for understanding. Once you hear the word, right? Once you hear the word, you are to prepare yourself to receive the word in your heart, in your mind, in your body, and in your soul. Make yourself ready to receive wisdom and knowledge. And once you do that, you have received some understanding. We want to get a lot of things in this world. But with all our getting, what we do our best to get some understanding. So apply it. Verse 2 says to apply. You see, that's wisdom. Knowing how to apply it. So apply it inside of your heart so when you need it, you'll have the right spirit, your heart will be in the right place, and you'll be able to tell somebody some good advice, some good wisdom, some good knowledge. So wisdom is so timely. It's the application of all those wonderful things. You got to just know when and where and why and how to apply it. Apply it the right way. Verse 3. But yea, if thou criest after knowledge, and liftest up thy voice for understanding. These are the steps. You see, it's a process going on. You got to hear it, you got to receive it, you got to apply it to your heart, hear it with your ear, receive it in your mind, and then you have to be able to apply it. And verse 3 say, and cry out for it. Cry out for knowledge and understanding. And this is a poem. And the first clause will be reiterated by the second clause. And it say, so if thou criest after knowledge and lifteth up thy voice for understanding, it's saying the same thing. So, but what I interpret the crying to be, when you cry out, I'm asking you to cry to the Lord. And when you lift up thy voice, I ask you to lift up thy voice to the Lord. And so if you're crying and lifting your voice, you're actually praising him and praying to him. For what? For understanding. God gives understanding. He gives wisdom. And so these are the things we need to do. But if you look back at verse 1, briefly, it says, if thou wilt receive. And then if you look at verse 3, it says, yea, if thou criest. See, these are conditionals. It means if you do what the Lord asks you to do, to hear, to listen, to cry out, then you get a reward, you get a blessing. But that little word, if, puts a condition on the blessing. If you keep my commandments, verse 1b said, hide my commandments within thee. So if you do these things, you have a blessing with your name on it. So God is saying, I'm allowing you to use your wisdom that He's willing to give us to exercise free will. I'm saying if you do it. So that means you have a choice. That means you have that, you have a path to choose. You can go right, you can go left. Remember? We can go to the high road. That would be the road that's less traveled. Or we can go to easy street. And just ease on down. Ease on down that road. Yeah. But you don't want to carry anything that just might be a load. You just want to ease on down that road. But God said, choose. If you do these things, that's a blessing waiting on you. You choose the wrong path, then that's something else that God may have waiting for you. Verse 4. It say to, if again, if thou seekest, another condition, right? If thou seekest her as silver and searchest for her as hid treasures. Her is actually wisdom. Remember, wisdom is being personified as a woman, as a female. And it says, if you pursue wisdom, if you seek wisdom, that's a blessing for you. And if you seek wisdom correctly and you receive wisdom, you can pass it on. How many times have we received good advice from someone else and we passed it on to somebody else? And you know what they did? They passed it on to someone else. See, wisdom has a pyramid effect. It could go from the top, an inverted pyramid, actually, and it goes down and just spreads out throughout the land. And each just passing it on, teaching one another God's wisdom, not man's wisdom. So verse 4, another conditional statement says, if you seek it as silver. Now silver you have to work for. You have to dig a little something to get silver. It says, but seek silver as a treasure. God is saying these are the things that He wants us to do. We got to work for it. Let's take a break just a second from the lesson. We're going to come back to verse 4. But let me drop some knowledge on you. Yes. Drop a little knowledge. Based on our current times, during these COVID times, we hear this word demic a lot. Epidemic, pandemics, demics. And so I want to look up demic and just see what is a demic. We're talking about knowledge and understanding, so it fits. I know it's a little bit off, but it fits. Watch this. A demic. So when you hear this word demic, It actually is a pertaining to a distinct population of people. Just know whenever you hear the word endemic, you're talking about a certain group of people, a distinct population of people. So then you hear people, epidemic. An epidemic is a widespread occurrence of an infectious disease that happens in a community at a particular time. That means it just happens for a short period of time, but it doesn't stay very long. Okay? Endemic and epidemic. And we have people at work where they are epidemiologists. And what they do, they have degrees in studying diseases and how it affects the community and all the social economic things that comes afterwards. But endemic is just, remember that, population, pertaining to a distinct population of people. Epidemic is actually a occurrence of an infectious disease for a community. Not the whole world, right? Not the whole state, not the whole city, unless it's a real small city. But it's a smaller portion, okay? You kind of centralize. Now let's go back to verse 4. Here, you see where it says, verse 4 says, if thou seekest her as silver, well, I have a picture of, this is actually gold coins. But we're supposed to seek after the treasure. I guess they're gonna start in a minute. You're gonna rotate for me? Oh, she went away. It's not right. Live TV. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let's back her up. She's supposed to spin. Okay, I'll wait for it. So here we go. God says, seek it, wisdom, like you would seek treasure. Anyone in here would like to have a pot of treasure? A pot of gold? Well, you do know no one's just going to come and hand you a pot of gold. You have to what? You have to work for it. Remember back in when we were watching TV, we watched the old westerns, but they was always out there in Arizona and the Midwest, and they was panning for gold. And they would be out there for years just trying to they were panning in this stream and digging in this dirt and trying to just get just a little bit of gold. And it changed their lives was they found some. But they worked for years trying to ascertain gold. Well, verse 4 saying, we got to work to receive wisdom. Right? You're just not going to be walking around and stumbling and fall and wisdom just, you bumped your head and wisdom just some kind of way fall into your head. Now, what will happen if you're walking around and you stumble and fall and bump your head, you'll be wise enough next time to know not to, stumble and fall and bump your head. So that's some generic wisdom, but that's not totally what God is talking about. That's just learning something, right? Once you do that, you have gained some knowledge that I better watch where I'm walking. So, but you have to search and seek out silver and gold. Put in some work. Put in some effort. Just don't think it's just going to be handed to you. God will give it to you, but God wants you to come to Him. And you have to kind of go through some things together. Verse 5. It says, then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord. That's that shock and awe factors I talked about in last week's lesson. The fear of the Lord is that we revere and respect the Lord at such a high level, and we know about His power and His wisdom, and that He has all power and all knowledge, and that we just surrender ourselves unto Him because we know the things that He can do to us. So we respect Him out of that fear. Not to be haunted by it, but to be have some understanding as to who he is and what he can do. Once again, last week's example. How many people can honestly say they built the world? They created the world. How many people can honestly say they created man? The source. And so, knowing that, we just have to have a certain amount of respect and fear for the Lord. So, once we get to this point, 5b, I'm sorry. Once we get to this point and say, and find the knowledge of God. Once you have that fear, that understanding, that respect, then you can find the knowledge of God. God is here. He wants to give it to us. But we have to do some digging. We have to do some research. We have to do some soul searching. We have to do some understanding. We have to do some reading. We have to do some listening. We have to do some praying. We have to do some teaching. Ask God. Ask God. So that's the first five verses. Let's do a checkup. You see here, I just took the major clauses from the first five verses. You see 1A and 1B, so that'd be verse 1. 2A, 2B, that'd be verse 2. So counting real quick, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on my checklist, I put down 5 check marks for you. That's it. Check them off. But you see, you got to receive the word. Hide the words inside of you. You got to listen. And then you have to apply them in your heart to know when to reach in and pull them out at the appropriate time. Cry out, verse 3. Lift up your voice. Praise and pray. Seek her as silver. Search for her as treasure. Do some work. So the first 4 tells us that you got to go through some stuff to ascertain wisdom. You got to go through sometimes difficult times to understand wisdom. To understand wisdom, you got to have felt some pain, some heartbreaks, losing some close family members, maybe losing your best friend, maybe losing a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, or someone very close to you. To develop wisdom, you have to go through something, right? You got to have some suffering comes with wisdom. See, so be careful when you ask God for wisdom. Suffering is a byproduct of wisdom. That I know firsthand. Years ago, I used to go down to my grandmother's house, and we would, because I was a big boy then and a big boy now, I was the helping hand on the farm. Well, after we did all the work, we would sit down and have a little Bible study. My grandmother kept a Bible by her bedside. It was amazing. You put a magazine there, she couldn't read it very well. You put that Bible there, she could read everything in it. And almost tell you what everything meant. God had given her some godly wisdom. Not necessarily to understand everything in the world, but to understand everything in His Word. And if you understand His Word, you could fix that and make that work for the things that you need to do in the world. So we would read this Bible, and we read Solomon, and I thought it was cool that Solomon wanted wisdom. I thought it was just a cool thing. Oh man, that's cool. He wants wisdom. Oh, I want some of that. I want some wisdom too. Oh, and he became rich. Oh yeah, I know I want some of that. And oh, and God said, because you asked for wisdom, I'm gonna give you this, and I'm gonna give you this, and yeah. I want to be like Solomon. I want some of that. I do. Give me a dose of that. And I tell you, be careful what you ask for. I've had some ups and downs, heartaches, and some turnarounds. I lost so many family members. Oh my gosh. Those that close to me, those that, so many. There's some suffering that comes with wisdom. And I guess I received a portion of it because my grandmother used to call me when we'd be down working in her farm, on her farm rather, and we'd be talking about stuff, and I'm a teenager talking about 401ks and stuff, and she would say, "You act like an old man. You're the youngest, oldest man that I know." I think she might have been saying that maybe I had gotten just a itty bit, teeny portion of wisdom. But the suffering that comes with understanding and having that godly wisdom, suffering is a byproduct. So here, the checklist. That one's going to work for me. These are the things you must do. But just know, if you go out and ask for some wisdom, there will be some heartaches and pains that come with it. But keep in mind, if God brings you to it, regardless of whatever it is. So I've learned now that whatever happens to me, if God has presented it in my path, He has either already equipped me for it, and I just haven't known it yet because I haven't had the opportunity to use it, or He's going to equip me for it. Because if He brings you to it, He is going to bring you through it, regardless of what it is. He can do it. And in His word, He said He will do it. That's our first wisdom check. It's more. Now, this is actually something that I've been using in one of our later lessons. I don't know which one. I was kind of reading ahead just to see what was going on. But it's going to be one of our later lessons. And you see, there are two types of wisdom. That's a manly wisdom versus, for the ones that may not be able to see this, this is the book of James, chapter 3, verses 14 through 17. It speaks of manly wisdom, right? And then 16 speaks of manly wisdom. 17 speaks of a godly wisdom. So if you have these things, some bitterness and envy and selfish ambitions in your hearts, and you brag and you boast a lot, God said, such wisdom, verse 15, does not come from heaven, but it's earthly, unspiritual, and it's also demonic. So there are two types of wisdom we have to be careful about. So everybody that has wisdom may not have the right wisdom when you ask for that discernment. So then in verse 17 it says, but the wisdom that comes from heaven, the wisdom that comes from the cloud, yeah, remember? From the cloud, put inside of your head, inside of your mind, is first and all pure. It's peace loving, it's considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit. It comes from heaven. We'll dissect this and break this down later in another lesson, but I thought it was so appropriate that at this time that what we're watching on TV and the news, to know that there are two types of wisdom that's going on. We'll drop some more knowledge on in just a second. Look at this. Remember we talked about what's endemic and an epidemic? Now, let's look at pandemic. Now, endemic is a distinct population of people, right? That's something been affected. Then epidemic was a small group of a community that's being affected by an infectious disease. Look at pandemic. It takes it a little bit higher. Now, pandemic is prevalent over the whole country or even the whole world. So COVID-19 is a pandemic. Because we know this whole country has it. We know the whole world has it. So it's a disease that's prevalent over a whole country or the whole world. Excuse me. So, we see a progression here. We saw what endemic is, a small population. Epidemic affects a small community. Pandemic, boom, affects the whole country or the whole world. COVID-19 is a pandemic. Now, I know folks know this, but I over describe stuff. I'm accused of over teaching, and that is true. That is so true. But everybody may not know this. COVID-19 simply means it is the coronavirus disease. Year found was 2019. So the CO means corona, the VI means virus, the D means disease. That's how you get COVID. They broke down and took the year off, the century off. So instead of being 20, they made it 19. It was first discovered in 2019. That's how we got COVID-19. I know you guys knew it. I know you guys knew that, but just in case that's one guy that didn't know. So COVID-19 is a pandemic because it's affecting the entire world. Now, you guys are going to find this hard to believe. A second. Sorry, live TV. Okay, excuse me. But I created another word. Yeah, I did it again. I created another word. We're gonna, for this section, I'm gonna start calling these the WY. The WY simply means Will's word of the week. So we know what a demic is, we know what an epidemic is, we know what a pandemic is. Now we have a mandemic. You hear people in the news and hear people talk about within this group that there are two viruses going on simultaneously. We have a coronavirus, COVID, and we have a racial virus going on. Well, I like to name that racial virus to be a mandemic. You see, we know the word demic specifies a particular population, a distinct population. So a mandemic, you see, I got it categorized, I stuck in that it's a chronic disease where people, a distinct population of people, feel that they are racially privileged over a whole country or even the whole world. That's a mandemic. Now watch this. A pandemic is prevalent over a country or a world. But a pandemic, we know COVID-19 isn't that old, right? Doesn't last forever, we hope. You see, we hope our scientists and our chemists and our researchers will be able to come up with a vaccine that will eradicate the pandemic. You see, everybody is working on this vaccine. That's a race to come up with the first vaccine. Whichever come to come up with it first, gonna be super rich. So that's a race to come up with the first vaccination for the pandemic. So we're expecting the pandemic to end. You with me? Even if you have to get vaccinated for it annually, like a flu shot or a pneumonia vaccination, but we're expecting it to be able to get under control. Here lies the difference. You see that word chronic? The word chronic itself means persisting over a long period of time, or it continuously keep recurring. It keeps happening. It keeps coming back. You think it's subsides for a little while, it gets quiet for a little while, but it keeps rearing its ugly head. A disease, chronic disease, that just never goes away. You see, this pandemic that we have with COVID-19 is new. This chronic disease here, the mandemic, is feeling racially privileged over the world, over people. That thing is over 400 years old, and it's still growing. We saw last week and the week before and the week before that it seemed to be getting stronger. It seems like this pandemic, this mandemic, is getting worse than the pandemic. We're hoping that pandemic will end with vaccination. This pandemic, like I said, it's 400 years old. So we don't know if it's going to ever end. This mandemic. Did I sell it to you? Yeah? Okay. Let's move on. So that's what we got going on today. We got a pandemic and a mandemic. Word of the week. Yeah. Here. Let's jump back in the book. We'll watch the world for a minute, but then we'll jump back in the book. Verse 6, and we're going to pick it up. Verse 6 says, if I can find it, I can start writing out on my pages. For the Lord giveth wisdom, out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. See, once we've gone through some things, and we're praying and fasting, and we're asking the Lord to help us and give us an understanding mind, right? He gives us wisdom. And out of his mouth, he gives us knowledge and he gives us understanding. That's when God puts you at peace. You know, when you're worried about stuff, you just worried and worried and worried, and then you find out that it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be. You realize that you've been worrying all night long for nothing. God had already worked it out while you was, crying about it, while you were so frustrated about it. God has already worked it out on your behalf. He gives you that calmness, knowledge, and understanding. He gives you his word. Everybody else's word is shaky. Everybody else's word is suspicious. It may or may not happen. But when God gives you his word, a word, the word, you can take it to the bank. So he gives us wisdom and knowledge. Verse 7 says, he layeth up wisdom for the righteous. Yes. You know, back when we saw in verses 1 and 3 and verse 4, I think, where it had a condition, if statement, conditional clause. So for the righteous, if you listen, if you cry out, if you seek, and if you search, God said, I got wisdom laid up for you. And I'm going to give you righteousness. Right? We know righteousness was a gift from God by way of Christ. So he said, once you get it and go through your step, once you go through your process, and you come to the close of graduating, I'm going to give you righteousness. I'm going to impute that upon you. Not that you earned it, but it's another one of my gifts to you. And 7b say, he is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. A buckler is actually, remember, swords and shield. It's the shield. You put it on your forearm. And so you could, I'll put it on my left. So you could, while you got it on your forearm, you could block and remain agile. That's what I'm looking for. You be agile while you still have your sword in this hand, while you able to protect yourself and yet defend yourself. Right? You can fight with this hand, you can defend with this hand. So God is he said, I'm your buckler. I'm your sword, and I'm your buckler. For them that walk, how? Uprightly. The one that chooses the right path, the one that goes through the process of his training. If you hear, if if you put it in your head, if you put it in your heart, if you do these things, if you keep my commandments, I'm going to do these things for you. Right? Verse 8, he keepeth the path of judgment and preserveth the way for his saints. God say, I'm going to, if you choose the right path, I'm going to help you to stay on that path. I'm going to give you judgment. I'm going to give you justice. And I'm going to keep your path and preserve your way. I'm going to make way for you. I'm going to clear your pathway out. Yes, stuff's going to come up against you, but I'm going to take care of those things on your behalf. God said, I'm going to take care of you if you hear, if you listen, if you choose the right way. Choose that road that's not traveled very much. Choose that high road. And God said, I'm going to clear things out for you. For the saints. Those the saints, those are the ones that have been set aside for God. And he's going to choose it for them. He's going to clear things out. Verse 9. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. Once you get that understanding and allow God to do these things for you, if you have done the things that you were supposed to have done, God said, verse 9, then I'm going to give you understanding and righteousness, judgment. Now, righteousness, judgment, and equity, these are the fruits of the fruits of wisdom. Right? These are actually the virtues. That's the word I'm looking for. The virtues of wisdom is to understand righteousness, to make the right decision, to live in the right way, to walk the right way. Judgment is to be able to judge fairly, give people justice, right? You want to receive justice, you also should be able to give out justice. And equity means treat people fairly. Let's give people a fair shake. Yes. And a very good path. God said, I clean things up for you. I'll make your way easy. Right? He'll make your crooked places straight. He'll make your valleys high. God will do these things, and God will give us these virtues, and those virtues come with us receiving victory in the sight of God. Verse 10, when wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul. God is saying, when you go through this, and you go through his training program to develop wisdom, he's going to put this in your system. He's going to put wisdom into your heart, into knowledge, into your soul. He's going to put it in your DNA. Yes, he's going to put the blood of Christ. You're going to start acting more holier than you're probably acting today. You see, each day walking with Christ, you're supposed to get a little bit more like Christ. You're supposed to be able to behave a little bit more like Christ. You saw when the disciples were walking with Christ, eventually, it took time, but eventually they started to behave, they started to teach, they started to took on Christ's characteristics. Christians or Distians. And so verse 11, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee. Discretion, that means making the right decision, choosing the right path. Being able to say yes when yes and no when no. Discretion, right decision, right time. Wisdom, being able to know what to do, when to say, when not to say it. Have some discretion. And it will keep you. It will keep you. Guys, that's our lesson today. You see this big, beautiful world here? Here's what's happening with this world. God is saying, it looks like the world has lost its course at the moment. We got people fighting and looting in the streets. We got just chaos, what appears to be all over the place. Not just in this country, but other countries. Actually, the whole world. So God's saying, I'm still God, and I'm still in control. And I still have everything the way I want it. Right now, it looks like we're standing by ourselves. We don't see the presence of God in this demonstration. But God says, though you don't see it, I'm still God, I'm still here. So now, the hands of Christ are coming back, and he's grabbing hold to his world, his creation. We are his creatures. He's grabbing hold to it. And you see what he's doing? Underneath there is a Bible. I remember it says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Well, we got to take this crazy, chaotic world and bring this world back to the scriptures. You see the hand is being placed on the Bible. Bring the world back to the beginning, when God created the heavens and earth. He created the world. Got to bring it back. Got to bring it back home. So, as this world turns and looks so out of place, and it appears that the hands of God has taken their hands off, they are there, and they are still in control. But what, in our wisdom, what we got to do is help put things back in order. In the beginning was the Word, the book. Got to bring it back. Jesus is the one that's going to bring it back. And we pray that he brings it back before he actually comes back. Yes. The world, the whole world, is in his hands. That's our lesson for today. As it flew off back into heaven. That's our lesson. Thank you for participating. Thank you for watching. Next week, we're still in the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, verses 8 through 14, and verses 17 through 21. And it's called Receive Wisdom's Gifts. Thanks again. I appreciate it. I just love that. Thank you for watching the Sunday School Breakdown, the SSBD. I appreciate you. I love you dearly and severely. See you next week. Please be blessed. Be safe. And by all means, remain encouraged. Good evening.